I'm not sure where I'm going with this one. I am just sitting on the floor in my office. It's late. I am just wrapping my mind around some of the stupid shit I'm seeing going on in the world right now. The most recent element of stupid shit was today's supposed walkout by a bunch of kids who have no knowledge of history, no understanding of what the world is really like, can barely spell based on what I've seen on social media, and somehow have arrived at this wisdom that has been given to them by those in power above them and have accepted it as truth. They've been used as pawns in this fucking stupid political game of gun control, which is a total misnomer. There's no such thing as gun control. There's only concentrating guns in the hands of the state or allowing your citizens to own guns. That's it. There's no such thing as gun control. Our argument for gun control is an argument for centralized gun ownership in the hands of the most violent entity history has ever fucking known. Plain and simple, that's it. There's nothing else to say about it. And this idea that you're supposed to parade children in front of cameras and then have these ideas, these bullshit ideas and stunts paraded in front of people to create more emotionalism around a tragic event. You know, like the photo of the 14,000 shoes, which turned into 7,000 shoes, both of which are complete bullshit, bogus statistics and numbers by anyone's measure. And people were accepting this as fact and passing it around the internet as if it were fucking the word of God or something. It's absolute ridiculousness. It's gotten to the point where it's hard to even know what to think or say when dealing with these people who are in this space, because they're not thinking. Their croc brain is active, their emotional centers are active, and their rationalism is completely turned off. Makes zero sense. And if you look at the arguments, it's easy to pull this shit apart. It's not difficult at all. Not even a little bit. You know, if someone argues, you know, one of the major arguments is, well, you know, we want to eliminate violence, specifically gun violence. And we've got to ban these assault weapons. People think AR stands for assault rifle. It doesn't. It stands for Armalite rifle, right? That was the manufacturer of the platform. And the ridiculous nature of getting rid of violence or death, choosing the least used method. And again, this is simply verifiable. Just go to the FBI website. Go to fbi.gov or whatever it is and look up the crime stats. Rifles are used the least in gun crime. Handguns are used far more. It's not even close. And then above and beyond that, you've got clubs, hands and fists, blunt weapons that are used far more than that, right? And if you really want to talk deadly weapons, you're going to have to take forks away from fat people. Because the reality of it is more than 7 figures of people end up dead or on their deathbeds every year because they eat themselves to death. They eat themselves to death. So it's not about gun control. It's about gun centralization. It's not about saving lives, because if we wanted to save lives, we would go after the low-hanging fruit, which is teaching people how to fucking eat. You know? It's not about correcting a wrong, because only people who are criminals, only people who have this mentality that they're going to be out to hurt someone, are going to be the ones out hurting people. Law-abiding people are not going to be affected by any law other than the fact that they're going to be stripped of their right to own something. It has zero effect on law-abiding people. Obviously, people who commit crime are not law-abiding people. It's just, this is fucking common sense. Like, it's just plain as day if you just think about it for more than a second and stop consuming sound bites and assuming that sound bites are reality. They're not. these fucking kids that are being used as pawns and don't even know it. I think back to when that shooting in Florida happened, and within the span of a few days to a week, they had already presented legislation to the Florida legislature to vote on some sort of gun ban. Emotions are still hot. Everybody's running high. Is this really a good time to parade kids, in front of cameras, to have rational, reasonable discussions about freedom, about gun ownership, about crime in general? Or should we, take advantage of this crisis, like they love to do, and put a bill before a government to vote on? That makes zero sense. What kind of fucking decision making is going to happen when people throw their emotions into the ring? It's absolute ridiculousness. It's knee-jerk bullshit. It's symbolism over substance, just like today. Symbolism over substance. And then the absolute intellectual dishonesty of the sheer numbers of these people who've been killed by guns, which of course are inanimate objects and have no ability to kill anything on their own. This intellectual dishonesty of comparing the U.S. to other countries, where the U.S., the standard is 4 or more. In Australia, the standard is 6. In the U.K., murders don't count unless the murderer is convicted. You're not comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges, you fucking idiots. You live in the U.S., you live in North America, you live in one of the safest places known to man. You have one of the safest food supplies known to man. You have one of the safest financial districts known to man. The safest area for property rights known to fucking man. You are so spoiled that you don't even realize how good you have it here. And you want to wake up every day and bitch and moan, not realizing that while you're doing this, the whole of the world has gotten safer. The whole of the world has gotten less violent. The whole of the world has gotten wealthier. It's not even arguable. Just look this shit up. Stop reading headlines and accepting a fucking headline as fact. Think. You cannot think when you're in an emotional state. When you're in this lizard brain, croc brain, fight or flight state. It doesn't work. And these guys, all of you guys who are being used as pawns, come on. Wake the fuck up. I mean, honestly, what is it that you expect to accomplish by keeping emotion stirred and making decision on emotion? Stop and think about why free people have the ability to own guns. Today in the speech by one of these kids who's obviously prepared by one of the leftists who attended the speech and stood behind him. Of course, he's had all the leftists standing behind the students, one of whom I noticed was Schumer. And if you look in the crowd, you see all the Secret Service guys in their suits, completely armed to the teeth, protecting, Schumer and gang, right? And the rest of these idiots who stood on this podium and, basically paraded children in front of a camera to emote emotional responses, evoke emotional responses. Shameless. And I'm watching this, and I'm watching this go down, and I'm watching this kid read a speech. And he was hitting it pretty good, you could tell he had rehearsed it. He did really well delivering his lines, and at the end of his lines, he was talking about morality. Morality this, morality that. Not even knowing what the word means. Questioning the morality, right? Taking the moral frame, right? When you argue from the moral frame, it's very difficult for someone to argue back, because they're claiming the moral high ground. How dare you say anything against the moral high ground? Well, it's bullshit to get on and argue moral high ground when your moral high ground involves using threat of force to disarm peaceful, lawful people. There is no morality in that, you fucking idiot. None whatsoever. You don't even know what you're saying, and you're indoctrinating other people to think the same way. You know, in this country, we don't want to look at the actual causes of problems. We don't want to face the fact that we've raised generations of morons, that parents have failed, that kids, especially male kids, don't have direction. Many of them coming from broken homes. You know, we don't want to face the fact that all this bullshit happens in gun-free zones. You know, I grew up in rural Georgia. And at any given time in the parking lot in my high school, we had guns in the cars. It's just the way it was. Nobody walked into the school and shot anybody up. And when you're being brought up in that culture, when you're taught what a firearm is used for, you're taught the fact that it's a tool. You're taught that if you point it at someone, even if it's unloaded and you're playing around, you're going to get your ass beat. It's just as simple as that. You just don't do that. And I look at these kids, man, they have no concept of what the significance of life is. They have no concept of the value that it brings, the potential value that it could bring. And they're being brainwashed into these ideas that the government is going to save you. The government is not going to fucking save you. What are you going to do? You know, my front door is right here. I keep guns in my house. You know, if you don't want to own guns, I don't care. You know, I just live and let live. But, you know, don't tell me how to live. If you want to smoke pot, smoke pot. I don't give a shit. I don't smoke pot. You know, I don't expect you to force your way of living on me. I don't expect you to force your way of believing on me. But if someone comes through that door right now, I have a fighting chance. What am I going to do? Outsource my protection? Hey, hold on there, guy. You know what? I need to call 911 and I need to get the cops here before you proceed to rob me, kill me, beat me. No fucking sense, guys. Listen, you own your body, you own the right to protect it. You own everything that means. You should own the product of your labor, but that's being stolen from you with tax. At the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. The cops cannot protect you. They can't protect me. That's not even their job. It's not their job. The job of the police is to enforce and to investigate. That's it. Protect and serve is a motto. It's not a job description. It is a motto, not a job description. They are not going to be able to protect me if someone busts into my house right now. I have to be able to do that. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to protect those close to you. That is your job. This idea that the answer isn't a pill or a law, or that you're going to outsource your responsibility. I'm going to outsource my fucking responsibility to the cops. No. The only thing they're going to do if someone shows up through my front door and kills me is they're going to show up after the fact and draw a chalk line around my dead body. And then they're going to start investigating. That's what they do. That's their job. You know, you're going to outsource your savings to Social Security. You're going to outsource your savings to a 401k or to some bullshit pension plan. That is not reality. No one is coming to save you. Not one fucking soul. And it's time that we stop lying to kids, lying to adults, telling them that the world is what it isn't. Your protection is on you. Your savings is on you. Your financial security is on you. The family that you create is on you. The responsibility falls to you and you alone. It doesn't mean you can't get help from outside. It doesn't mean there might not be a cop handy when you need one. Maybe there will be. But maybe is not definitely. There's a huge distinction, right? You have to be able to handle yourself. You have to be able to handle your money. You have to be able to handle your relationships. You have to be able to handle your mindset and your thinking. And this is something that we've gotten so far away from. I sit back and I look at this stuff. It's absolutely astonishing that we've allowed the people in this country to believe that they can find the answer in some law, in some pill bottle. Someone else is going to handle it for me. I mean, these kids, at this rally, protect us. Oh, they're going to protect, you need to protect us. These fucking people don't care about you. They're not going to protect you. Let's say tomorrow you wake up and all of a sudden rifles are illegal. Handguns are illegal. Well, my buddy down the street is just going to pull out his 3D printer and he's going to print me a 1911. And I'm going to have a 1911. And that's just reality. What are you going to do? Ban fucking 3D printers now? You're going to have to get registered, background check, make sure that you can own a 3D printer. You cannot legislate darkness. You are never going to eliminate the darkness of the human condition. Which is why all these, utopian countries that all of you fuckers like to mention still have problems. And if you look closely at the numbers, you'll find that it's not the utopia that you think it is. I'm not going to give you numbers because you're not going to believe me. Go look them up. Compare apples to apples. Look at the 76 kids that were killed in Iceland. Look at the 80 plus people who were run over on that bridge. Look at the numbers of people who've been blown to bits. Look at the number of people who eat themselves to death. The darkness is not going anywhere. It's not. It's a part of you. It's a part of me. Not addressing it is the problem. You have to realize humans are light and dark. And that darkness is not going anywhere anytime soon. Which is why if we ban guns tomorrow, rifles tomorrow, then pistols, we're still left with the vast majority of murders being committed by hands, fists, clubs, blunt objects. They're going to find a way. One of the utopias you guys like to mention is Canada. Well, my wife is Canadian. I have PR status in Canada. I've spent quite a bit of time there. A few years ago, a kid, the son of a sheriff actually, a son of a police officer, hid in a bathroom at a house party and stabbed people as they came through the door and pulled them into the shower stall and just stood there and waited for people to roll through the door, stabbed the next one. He ended up killing like 7 people at a house party with his knife. Police weren't there to help him. All the police there are armed. Very few of the people are. Just think. It's time to do the work that solves the problems. Slapping fucking band-aids on every problem. Looking for the answer in a pill bottle. Looking for someone else to solve your problems. Some externality is gonna change. My life will be fucking perfect. No, that's not how it works. Think. Move accordingly. Educate yourself accordingly. Compare apples to apples, guys. And remember, no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And that's always been true. It's always going to be true. Have a good night.